Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the channel. The Cleveland Cavaliers have won 6 straight basketball games. 6 straight basketball games. 2 of those were against the almost NBA champions, or final champions, I guess, in the Boston Celtics. Tonight at home against Boston, DG, the PG, makes his return. Donovan Mitchell, DM45. Dude, I tweeted it out. This game felt like an Eastern Conference Finals. And I was spreading that around to my friends, and they were like, no. I'm not buying stock into that. And I'm thinking to myself, I mean, realistically, why not? Before the Cleveland Cavaliers traded a couple of first-round picks, a couple of players for Donovan Mitchell, I don't think people were thinking they were necessarily finals contenders, but they were definitely heading on that right path. The one thing Cleveland was missing in this past season, outside of just staying healthy, because that was a very vital and integral part of their quote-unquote downfall, although, they had the third-round pick just 2 years ago. They weren't really anticipated or expected to make the playoffs or even the play-in tournament, just statistically speaking. It was offense and injuries, because injuries played actually just like a huge role in it. So they went out there and they got an offensive stud in Donovan Mitchell. Now, we can nitpick this game and say, yeah, DG was, like, in the last shot of regulation, DG was wide open. Donovan Mitchell took a contested, like, pretty much double-teamed, what was it, three-pointer or deep two to try and win the game. But I think we really saw, because Darius Garland was missing after the first game where he got injured in the eye against the Toronto Raptors. We were missing all-star point guard Darius Garland, who's like a walking bucket, might I add. But Donovan Mitchell was on a heater. He's been on a heater, dropping 30 points a night at least. Tonight, no different. It wasn't the most efficient night, going 11-27 from the field, 3-9 from downtown, but he dropped 25 points, 4 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal. The Donovan Mitchell trade 100% puts the Cleveland Cavaliers as final contender. I already know I'm going to be getting some comments saying that's jumping the gun, that's a little ridiculous. I get it, we're 7 games in. Cleveland is 6-1. They had that first loss, very close, narrow loss, where you lost your starting point guard in Darius Garland to the Toronto Raptors, who also are a very talented, deep, great defensive basketball team. I already know I'm going to be getting some comments saying, you know what, like Cleveland's cool, but slow your roll. Real quick, before we get any further into this video, hit the like button, hit that sub button. Let's try and hit 114 likes on today's video for the amount of points they put up on the almost NBA Finals Boston Celtics. And also let me know if my boy and I should restart our Cleveland Sports Daily channel. But moving on forward, what's cool about this win is, first off, you just beat Boston in Boston a couple of nights ago. Donovan Mitchell dropped 41, Karis LeVert dropped 41. Cleveland still by no means is necessarily fully healthy, and even tonight the bench didn't help out much offensively speaking. We saw a pretty rare bad shooting night from Kevin Love, going just 2 of 10 from the field, 0 of 5 from downtown. I mean, that really rarely happens. Dean Wade closed out the game. He was awesome on the defensive end, but he dropped 6 points. And then Robin Lopez plays 5 minutes. He dropped 2 points. Jetty Osman, 0 of 3 from the field, 0 of 3 from downtown. Isaac Okoro only saw 8 minutes. So the bench really didn't contribute much. And like I said, this really wasn't a pretty basketball game. I mean, you turned the ball over 11 times. I guess in today's fast-paced NBA world, that's not necessarily bad, but it certainly isn't good. You shot just 42% from the field. You shot an abysmal 28.2% from downtown, and they still won the game. I mean, one thing personally I really saw with Cleveland last season was their defensive potential. I mean, when you have cats like Evan Mobley and Jared Allen, just kind of two Mobley was highly scouted coming out of the draft, but Jared Allen in his own regard is severely underrated. When he got traded in that whole Rockets Nets thing, it was kind of like, all right, cool. Like, I'm not quite sure. Jared Allen's a solid basketball player, definitely a starting caliber center, but I'm not quite sure if he moves the needle for us. Well, he actually does. 3 offensive rebounds, 14 rebounds in general, 14 points, 2 blocks. Yeah, you might have some defensive issues late in games as far as matchups because he can't stretch the floor, but Evan Mobley in just his second year paired up with Jared Allen as far as your front court goes. Personally, I feel really good about that. And then off of the bench, you got guys like Kevin Love. You even have Dean Wade. You have Robin Lopez, brand new addition. I'm loving the Cleveland Cavaliers' depth. When they first made that trade for Donovan Mitchell and they gave up cats like Lauri Markkanen, who's looking like an all-star right now in Utah, it was not ideal. First-round pick Ochai Agbaji, but it wasn't necessarily ideal, but the risk was worth the reward, in my opinion. I mean, we're seeing right now, even on an off night efficiency-wise from Donovan Mitchell, this is a guy where in the last 3-4 minutes of the regulation, fourth quarter, you can give him the ball. It's not great offense necessarily if you just give him the ball with 10 seconds left, do his thing, ISO. It's not like necessarily perfect basketball, but you get what I'm saying. You have a reliable bucket. Now, I view Darius Garland also as a reliable bucket, but it just adds a whole nother element. I mean, you're literally getting an all-star. You're getting an all-NBA capable player. Donovan Mitchell was severely underrated in Utah, and I think that whole team got a pretty bad rap just because, Utah is a very small market, and Utah hasn't, before this season when they kind of blew it up, they hadn't necessarily gotten better. And I think Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert, the combination of both of those two, I think it wasn't a perfect fit, and it also just was getting kind of overblown how sorry sounds super desperate, but hopefully you get what I'm saying. Like, Donovan Mitchell and Rudy Gobert didn't get the respect they deserve because they just didn't match up well. They didn't pair well necessarily as a 1-2 duo as far as making it to the championship. And, I think everybody would agree that Cleveland, even if you don't make it to the second round this year, even if you get blown out in the first round of the playoffs, or you lose in the second round, or you lose in the Eastern Conference Finals, I think everybody would agree that their future outlook looks unbelievable. You have Darius Garland. You have Donovan Mitchell. We'll see with Karis LeVert. That's kind of a wild card to me. He's got a fat contract. He's not going to get as fat of a contract this offseason. We'll wait and see with that one. But Jared Allen's locked up for long term. Evan Mobley also, in his second year, so he's locked up long term as well. You've got bench role players that just are huge for the culture, huge for the team, huge for energy, and Kevin Love. You've got just really nice role players in Robin Lopez, Dean Wade, Jetty Osman, guys you can pretty much rely on coming off of the bench. You even have your nice, enticing players, up-and-coming lottery studs in Isaac Okoro. So it's just a really interesting team dynamic, and like I said, maybe they don't make the Eastern Conference Finals this year. Maybe they don't go as far as some of us are hoping or anticipating or expecting, but long-term, Cleveland is stacked. I mean, it's just calling a spade a spade. They're stacked. It really is that simple, and tonight, like I said, it wasn't the prettiest win, but they got the win at home against the Boston Celtics. And you're on a 6-game heater. You actually haven't lost a game at home. You're 4-0 at home. So it's really cool to see just as a Cavalier supporter. So that's it for today. Hit that like button, hit that sub button, but most importantly, go ahead, show some love down below. Let me know your thoughts on the Cleveland Cavaliers right now. Peace.